Hello anime fans, it's finally time for us to dive into the one show that took the whole world by storm. Demon Slayer is filled with eye-catching animation and a dark story to go along with it. So let's dive right into Tanjiro Kamado's dark and gruesome journey to battle these demons. Tanjiro Kamado is a young boy with a strong sense of smell. He lives with his family in the mountains and they all live peacefully. Their main source of income is getting charcoal from the mountain trees and selling it in the town at the foot of the mountain. One day, on his way home, he smells blood. When he reaches home, he finds out that his entire family has been slaughtered in a suspected demon attack. His younger sister, Nezuko, still lives, but she might as well be dead because she now has become a demon.
痛かったろ苦しかったろ助けてやれなくてごめんな
As Tanjiro is making sense of this whole situation, a demon slayer named Gyu Tomioka arrives at his house and starts hunting down Nezuko. He knows that Nezuko will kill numerous innocents if she's allowed to live. Tanjiro tries to stop Gyu but fails to convince him as he knows that demons cannot be reasoned with. Tanjiro then forcefully stops Gyu by outsmarting him and getting between him and Nezuko. Seeing how strong Tanjiro's bond is with his sister and seeing Nezuko herself resist her natural demon urges and not hurt Tanjiro, Gyu decides to take a gamble and spare her life. He then tells them to go find a man named Sakonji Urokudaki on Mount Sagiri. Tanjiro agrees to this proposition and leaves with Nezuko after burying his family. And so, the journey to restore his sister's humanity begins for Tanjiro. As the two siblings make their way towards Mount Sagiri, Tanjiro realizes that Nezuko is not able to go out in the sun just like all other demons, so he buys a box to keep her protected from sunlight. The two of them then encounter a demon inside a temple and start fighting it. Nezuko also smells the scent of blood and has to force herself to resist her demonic urges. Tanjiro somehow corners the demon a little but is unable to land the killing blow. In the end, with Nezuko's help, Tanjiro manages to stall the demon until the sun comes out and it burns away. Once they're both well rested, the two of them continue their journey and finally meet Urokudaki. He then tests Tanjiro's resolve by asking him what he would do if Nezuko were to ever devour a human. Tanjiro is hesitant to reply, and this leads to Urokudaki getting angry at him for being a wuss. He tells him that he must kill her if that happens, and then kill himself for letting it happen later. That is what it means to travel with a demon sister. As Tanjiro realizes the faults in his resolve, Urokudaki put Tanjiro through a test. He tasks him with climbing Mount Sagiri and descending it to prove his worth as a future demon slayer. On his way up, Tanjiro faces numerous difficulties and gets into a lot of traps. But once he gets on top, he strengthens his resolve and is able to descend the mountain somehow. As he completes the task and proves his worth, Urokudaki finally accepts him as a student and decides to train him as a demon slayer, as that's what Gyu had also requested in a letter that he sent prior. Nezuko is in a deep sleep and hasn't woken up for a while now. Meanwhile, Tanjiro starts training under Urokudaki to become a demon slayer. To officially gain the rank, Tanjiro must be capable enough to survive the test known as the final selection. Urokudaki teaches him the concept of breathing techniques and shows him the basic forms of water breathing. With the foundation laid out for him, Tanjiro trains for a whole year to master these techniques and prepares for the final selection. But as the final selection draws near, Urokudaki gives Tanjiro one final task. He takes him to an immense boulder and tells him to slice it in half. Tanjiro tries everything but is unable to complete the task. He keeps at it for 6 months and is unable to do anything to the rock. He then meets two mysterious swordsmen, Sabito and Makomo. Sabito laughs at his weaknesses, while Makomo helps him overcome his difficulties by helping him train. Tanjiro spends another 6 months training with the two swordsmen and is finally able to land the proper blow on Sabito now. Once Tanjiro succeeds in hitting Sabito, it's revealed that both these swordsmen were previous students of Urokudaki. As the two of them vanish after praising Tanjiro's skills, Tanjiro realizes that he has already cut the boulder, implying that the two swordsmen were just spirits from Urokudaki's past. Once Tanjiro comes back, Urokudaki is unable to understand how Tanjiro managed to overcome his massive skill issue and slice that rock. He then allows Tanjiro to participate in the final selection and tells him to come back alive. He's already suffering from so much pain due to the death of his students. Tanjiro then arrives at the final selection grounds and meets several other Demon Slayer candidates. Turns out, all of them must survive for 7 days on a mountain filled with demons. The demons range from low rank to high rank, and there's no guarantee that they'll survive. Tanjiro then battles through numerous hordes of demons and finally encounters the demon that killed Sabito and Makomo. Turns out, it's the Hand Demon, and it takes immense pleasure in killing the students of Orokudaki. Tanjiro fights hard and tries to overcome this for the sake of his life and his master's legacy, and finally manages to defeat it after a long battle with the help of his water breathing. As the demon finally kicks the bucket and turns to ash, Tanjiro senses the sad backstory from its remains with his protagonist's powers. He then prays that the demon rests in peace.
神様、どうかこの人が今度生まれてくる時は鬼になんてなりませんように。
With the death of that demon, his countless victims up until now can finally be at peace. After defeating such a strong demon, the rest of the test is a walk in the park for Tanjiro. He manages to survive the test and finally becomes eligible to become a demon slayer alongside 3 others. He's given the basic rank that all demon slayers get at first and selects the ore that will be used to make his Nichirin sword. He then makes a triumphant return to Mount Sagiri and meets Orokudaki after a successful campaign. Nezuko also wakes up from her sleep and reunites with her brother. And so, Tanjiro's journey as an official member of the Demon Slayer Corps begins. He receives his sword from the talented swordsmith Haganezuka and is on his way to his first mission to investigate the disappearance of young girls in a nearby village. Tanjiro reaches the village and investigates the cause of these disappearances. During his investigation, he meets a young guy named Kazumi and finds out that his fiancée Satoko is the most recent victim. Tanjiro comforts him and decides to help him. He waits for night to arrive to lure out the demons and strike them. During the night, a swamp demon appears and tries to kidnap yet another young girl, but Tanjiro is there to stop him in his tracks this time. The two of them start fighting and Tanjiro realizes that the demon has 2 other clones and can also form puddles everywhere. He likes to use them in battle. Tanjiro tries his best to overcome this challenge, but protecting Kazumi and the other girl takes a lot of his attention, rendering him unable to finish off the demon. As Tanjiro keeps struggling, Nezuko appears and decides to help him. With the siblings teaming up, Nezuko protects Kazumi and the other girl while Tanjiro takes care of the clones inside the puddles. Once that is taken care of, he comes back and is finally able to corner the demon. He then asks him about his ties to Kibutsuji Muzan, the king of demons, who is responsible for making every demon in the world. But the swamp demon is too scared of Muzan to speak anything about him despite being on the verge of death. Tanjiro then kills the demon and eliminates the threat of disappearances from the village. As the previous victims have all been killed, Tanjiro comforts Kazumi and moves on to his next destination. Tanjiro now finds himself in the city of Asakusa. In the hectic crowd of the city, he smells the same scent he did back when he was coming back home the day his family was killed. He suspects that it's the same demon as that time and frantically follows the scent. Tracing the scent, Tanjiro comes across a man who looks just like a normal person with a wife and child alongside him.
女の子と女の人は人間の匂いだ。わからないのか。こいつが鬼だって。
But circumstances lead Tanjiro to follow him and find out that he is, in fact, the final villain, Michael Jackson in the flesh. No, Kibutsuji Muzan does not think of Tanjiro as someone he should engage directly with and transforms a person into a demon to make his escape from there. As Muzan begins to flee, Tanjiro makes a bold proclamation that he will be the one to defeat him one day.
俺はお前を逃がさない。どこへ行こうと絶対に。地獄の果てまで追いかけて、必ずお前の首に刃を振る。
As Muzan is about to brush it off as just empty words, he notices the Hanafuda earrings that Tanjiro is wearing and remembers an enemy that he feared long ago. He then flees from the scene and realizes that he needs to nip the seeds of rebellion in the bud. He then tasks 2 demons, Susamaru and Yahaba, with defeating Tanjiro. But turns out, Tanjiro already needs rescuing. He's saved by 2 demons named Tamayo and Yushiro, who have also controlled their bloodlust and want to see the defeat of Muzan. They bring the siblings to their home and reveal that Tamayo might be able to make a cure for Nezuko. She then tasks Tanjiro with collecting blood samples from demons. The stronger the demon is, the closer he is to Muzan. So by researching the blood of strong demons, she can make a cure for Nezuko. As Tanjiro strengthens his resolve to find a cure for his sister and help Tamayo, they are all attacked by Susanoo and Yaiba. Susanoo uses her temaris, a toy made for children, to destroy the house and force everyone to come outside. It's then revealed that both of them are members of the 12 Kizuki, the strongest demons working directly under Muzan. Tanjiro tries to battle against Susanoo and her temaris, but they keep changing paths and don't follow any pattern. So they look around and find out that Yaiba is using some kind of arrows to control the path of temaris. It's a combination attack and nearly impossible to dodge. And so Tanjiro shifts opponents and decides to fight Yaiba first. In the meantime, Nezuko and Yushiro hold off Susanoo. Yaiba also proves to be too strong for Tanjiro and completely overpowers him by using his arrows in creative ways. Nezuko also gets her leg blown off by Susanoo's temari. Tanjiro then gets a flashback about his training with Orokodaki and outsmarts Yaiba to use his arrows against him to overpower the demon. Yaiba tries his hardest against Tanjiro but fails to deliver and eventually bites the dust. Nezuko is also healed by Tamayo and she's ready to fight again, more amped up than ever. As the two of them are fighting, Tamayo realizes that it's time for some adult interference and uses her blood demon art. She tricks Susanoo into speaking the name of Muzan from her mouth, leading to the activation of a curse that will kill her for speaking the king's name like that. She then clears up the confusion and tells everyone that these were not members of the 12 Kizuki, as there's no number engraved in their eyes to show it. As Tanjiro starts feeling bad for the demons again, as they're being tricked and used by Muzan for his own agendas, Tamayo sees that Nezuko feels for the demons as well. She finally realizes just how kind these two siblings are, feeling for the monsters that were just now trying to kill them. And so, Tanjiro now continues his journey with a proper direction and mission that he knows for sure that his sister can one day be saved. As he's traveling, he comes across another demon slayer who's asking a girl to marry him, despite knowing that she's feeling uncomfortable around him. Tanjiro stops the harasser and it turns out it's one of the people who was there with him at the final selection. His name is Zenitsu, and he's an annoying crybaby. The two of them suddenly get duty calls and go on a joint mission at a woodland mansion. They find two children on the way named Shoichi and Teruko. They ask for their help as their brother has been abducted and taken inside the mansion. The two demon slayers join the children and decide to enter the mansion to save their brother. They leave Nezuko's box outside and get immediately separated inside the mansion. The groups become Tanjiro and Teruko in one room and Shoichi and Zenitsu in the other. The rooms of the mansion constantly move and the map never stays the same. As the two groups keep exploring, Tanjiro and Teruko come across the demon that has been controlling this entire mansion and moving the rooms as he pleases. Meanwhile, Zenitsu and Shoichi come across an even bigger problem as they encounter a thick-headed demon slayer in a boar mask. But circumstances lead to the boar mask slayer then finding Tanjiro as he's planning how to approach the demon. The boar mask slayer starts arguing with Tanjiro over who gets to beat the demon. The demon uses it to his advantage and attacks them both with invisible slashes emitted from his drums. They all get separated once again due to the mansion's layout changing and are now back to square one. Tanjiro later comes across Teruko's brother Kiyoshi and takes him under his care. On Zenitsu's end, he and Shoichi encounter a demon and Zenitsu proves how useless he is by not dealing with him at all. He passes out and leaves Shoichi at the mercy of the demon, but turns out this is a blessing in disguise as Zenitsu starts sleepwalking and uses the first form of his thunder breathing to one-shot the demon. The boar mask slayer also encounters a demon but has no problems dispatching it, unlike Zenitsu. Tanjiro once again comes across the drum demon that has been controlling the mansion. His name is Kyogai and he used to be one of the 12 Kizuki. He was stripped of his titles by Muzan and now wants to reclaim the glory he once had. Tanjiro starts fighting him once he makes sure the siblings are safe and starts adapting slowly but surely to the movements of this demon. Frustrated at how persistent Tanjiro is, Kyogai loses his composure and starts attacking out of sync. He then recalls how he was mocked for his drumming in his previous life as a human. Tanjiro sustains multiple injuries but is able to beat Kyogai using his water breathing. As he's fading, Tanjiro acknowledges how good of a drummer Kyogai is, putting his soul at peace. Before he dies though, Tanjiro takes a blood sample in a vial. He gives the vial to Tamayo's cat and escorts the siblings safely outside. As he comes outside though, a new problem is waiting for him when he sees that the boar-masked demon slayer is attacking Nezuko's box. Zenitsu is shielding the box with his body, but the boar mask is persistent. Zenitsu then claims that he realized earlier that Tanjiro had a demon inside that box, but chose to remain quiet because he knew it must have been due to some convincing circumstances. Tanjiro tries to reason with a boar mask guy, but he doesn't listen, and so it turns into a brawl between Tanjiro and that guy. Even though fellow demon slayers must not fight, Tanjiro headbutts the guy in self-defense and wins the fight. This makes the boar mask fall off, and the guy is revealed to be a handsome young man named Inosuke. As the situation calms down a little, the three of them descend the mountain, leading the children to safety and go to the house of an elderly woman to rest and recover their energy. After some rest, Inosuke explains his situation and practically tells them that he's a battle-obsessed guy who grew up in the mountains. He became the strongest in his home mountain, so decided to put his strength to the test against demons. Zenitsu then asks Tanjiro for his reasons regarding carrying a demon around. But before he even explains anything, Nezuko appears in front of them. Seeing how Tanjiro didn't tell him he was carrying a girl with him all along, Zenitsu goes into a fit of rage and starts chasing her all around. Once they recover, the three of them set out on their journey once again and are informed of their eventual next mission on Mount Natagumo, as numerous demon slayers have been vanishing there. Once they reach the mountain, Inosuke and Tanjiro enter fearlessly, while Zenitsu stays behind because he's a little bitch. Once they go a bit deeper into the mountain forest, they find out that the whole forest is covered with webs all around. They then meet another demon slayer named Murata, who tells them that he was part of a much bigger team, but the slayers started killing each other as soon as they got on the mountain. They are all then once again attacked by a band of demon slayers, but they quickly realize that they are being controlled like puppets using strings and webs. A demon then appears in front of them that looks like a child, and he claims that they must either leave the place or be devoured by his mother. Seeing how they can't really hurt their fellow slayers, they need a plan to eliminate the puppeteer. Inosuke then uses his beast breathing and finds the location of his demon using spatial awareness. As everyone is fighting here, two Hashira are also dispatched to take care of the situation at this mountain. The two Hashira turn out to be our old friend Giyu and a female Hashira named Kocho Shinobu. Leaving Murata to hold off the controlled demon slayers, Tanjiro and Inosuke run off to eliminate the cause of the problem. They encounter even more puppets on their way and realize that some of them are still alive. As the duo makes their way past these obstacles, the mother demon is threatened by her son, Rui, into wrapping it all up faster. Tanjiro and Inosuke stop the movement of the puppets, but the mother simply kills the puppets herself. She then brings out a large headless demon as her final puppet and starts dominating the two of them. At first, they are unable to handle the headless demon, but once they start coordinating their attacks, it becomes a walk in the park. Tanjiro and Inosuke then plan for a final blow at the mother and come up with an idea. Inosuke launches Tanjiro in the air and trusts him to finish the job. As the mother realizes that there's no escape from her impending death at the hands of Tanjiro, she simply surrenders herself to him. She has the look of peace on her face as she knows she'll finally be freed of having to do Rui's bidding. Seeing the expression of the demon change, Tanjiro switches his breathing form mid-air and ends things painlessly for the mother. To thank Tanjiro for his kindness, the mother warns him that a member of the 12 Kizuki is present on the mountain. As Zenitsu was given the responsibility to guard Nezuko outside the forest, he fails at that too. Nezuko has run off into the forest and Zenitsu is trying to find her. He comes across some of the captured demon slayers slowly turning into spiders. As he's busy getting scared of all these horrors, one of the sons of the spider family of this mountain arrives and bites him. He reveals that Zenitsu will soon be turned into a spider once the poison circulates inside of him. Unable to fight the spider, Zenitsu realizes that this is it for him. His life starts flashing before his eyes as he was never able to make his master proud. And once again, Zenitsu loses consciousness and becomes an absolute beast. He starts attacking the demon and puts him on the back foot, but the demon figures out how to counter his first form and is able to counter it consistently. Despite failing so many times, Zenitsu continues with the same form of thunder breathing, leading the demon to figure out that this is the only attack he knows how to perform. But remembering the words of his master,
一つできれば万々歳だ。一つのことしかできないなら、それを極め抜け。
Zenitsu stacks thunder breathing and uses the momentum he has gained to increase his speed many folds. This gives him the power to cut the demon and finally focus his energy on slowing down the poison. On the other side, Tanjiro and Inosuke encounter the father and daughter demon emerging from the forest. Giyu and Shinobu arrive at the mountain and quickly take charge. They split up and decide to go their separate ways. Father Demon battles both Tanjiro and Inosuke and eventually sends Tanjiro flying across the forest. This leaves Inosuke to take care of this demon. Tanjiro then encounters Rui and the daughter demon again as he sees Rui torturing the daughter. This reminds Tanjiro of his own family and he snaps at Rui for treating his family like this. He calls it a fake family and starts a fight. Rui gets enraged at Tanjiro's constant yapping and decides to torture him before he actually kills him. Tanjiro and Rui start their battle, but Rui quickly overpowers Tanjiro with threads that he's unable to cut. On Zenitsu's end, the poison is spreading quickly now and he's unable to control it. He's almost at the end of his life when Shinobu finds him. On Inosuke's side, he's also struggling with father and breaks both of his swords when he tries to slice his neck. Giyu then interrupts the fight and immediately takes care of father. Tanjiro also tries a basic attack against Rui and once again gets repelled. Seeing Giyu's strength, Inosuke challenges him to a fight, but he's denied by him, as there are obviously more important matters to attend to. Shinobu gives an antidote to Zenitsu and has her assistants take care of the rest. Coming back to Tanjiro now, he's consistently getting overpowered by Rui and is unable to land a decisive blow. Nezuko finds the two of them fighting and intervenes. The two of them fight together and push Rui back a little. Seeing this bond, Rui decides that he will make Nezuko his new sister and reveals that he's one of the 12 Kizuki and is ranked as lower 5. He then gets a hold of Nezuko and completely traps her in his threads. Tanjiro is also getting trapped, but he finally finds a way to cut these threads using the final form of water breathing. As Tanjiro is consistently managing to cut Rui's threads now, he strengthens them up with his blood and puts Tanjiro back in his place. Tanjiro then gets the power of flashbacks and remembers how his father used to do a certain breathing style that would let him perform a high-intensity dance despite his frail body.
息の仕方があるんだよ。どれだけ動いても疲れない息の仕方。
息?
So he shouts aloud the name of this breathing technique, Hinokami Kagura, and cuts down Rui's threads. As Tanjiro is making his way up to Rui, Nezuko also gets a vision from her family and wakes up. She uses her blood demon art for the first time and explodes Rui's blood-soaked threads, making him vulnerable for a strike from Tanjiro, which beheads him. Despite everything the siblings have done, Rui survives the beheading as he cut his head with his own string before Tanjiro could cut it and then reattached it. Avoiding death by a narrow margin, Rui then tries to murder Tanjiro again as he's completely beat up now but is stopped by Giyu in his tracks. He uses a secret form of water breathing and destroys Rui along with his blood demon arts. The daughter demon is trying to flee the forest and starts remembering how she was recruited into Rui's so-called family. When she came into this forest, Rui had already recruited other demons and assigned them different roles in his pretend family, but after a while, they all started getting tortured by Rui's warped view of a family. Coming back to the present, the daughter finds Murata in the forest and then traps him as well. Shinobu finds her tormenting Murata and interrupts her. She pretends to befriend her, but actually strikes her with her sword. The daughter isn't beheaded by her sword slash and starts getting cocky, but Shinobu then reveals that since she lacks the arm strength to slay demons with her sword, she has developed numerous poisons to kill them. Once this is all taken care of, she frees Murata and saves him. On Tanjiro's end, Rui also starts getting his near-death instant flashback. He sees Tanjiro and Nezuko hugging each other after the fight and remembers how he also used to have something called a family. Rui remembers how he was born with a weak body and his parents had confined him in the house due to these health concerns. Muzan met him and made him a demon. Rui, now strong enough to kill people, devours a human and starts getting feared by other humans. His parents then try to kill him to satisfy the guilt they had felt, but they are no match for a demon and thus they die. Rui, now completely alone, misses his family and wants to make a new one. Hence, he recruited all those demons and told them all to act as his family. Tanjiro sees the grief Rui feels and comforts him. Rui rests in peace now and is finally reunited with his parents in hell, where they simply forgive him, so his soul can now be at peace. Gyu sees all this and calls bullshit on Tanjiro's actions. He scolds him for sympathizing with demons and being such an annoying goody two-shoes. But just then, Shinobu arrives at the scene and starts hunting Nezuko. Gyu tries to stop her, but she's dead set on killing Nezuko, so he grabs her and forcefully stops her for a while. Just then, Kano, one of Shinobu's students, comes to her aid and starts chasing Nezuko. As Nezuko runs and tries to save herself, Shinobu gets away from Gyu and starts chasing after her. But just as she's about to deliver the final blow, they all receive a message that Tanjiro and Nezuko must be taken to the Demon Slayer headquarters alive. And so, the long battle ends and everyone who is injured is taken by the assistants. Inosuke and Zenitsu are recovering now, while Tanjiro is put on a trial in front of the Hashiras, the pinnacle of the Demon Slayer Corps. Tanjiro's trial begins as all the Hashiras almost unanimously believe that Nezuko should be executed alongside Tanjiro and Gyu for protecting her. Tanjiro explains the whole situation, but they all simply claim that he's biased. Sanemi, the Wind Hashira, is very violent and stabs Nezuko through her box. Tanjiro acts on reflex and attacks him for it, but in the end, he's restrained. Just as things are getting out of hand, the leader of the Demon Slayer Corps, Kagaya Ubuyashiki, arrives at the scene and tells everyone that he has personally allowed their unique situation. The Hashira are surprised by this and start asking questions. The master then tells everyone that he has a letter from Sakonji Orokutaki that confirms that Nezuko will not harm a human. And if it were to happen, then Tanjiro, Gyu, and himself would lay their lives as penance. He also explains that Tanjiro has already crossed paths with Muzan, and so he's an important part of the Demon Slayer Corps. Everyone starts having doubts, but Sanemi refutes everything and claims that he will prove the true nature of demons right here, and so he proceeds to use his own blood to try and entice Nezuko to attack him. However, Nezuko proves that she's much better than that and completely resists everything Sanemi has said and done. Sanemi is completely shocked by it, and the master claims that this should be enough proof of Nezuko's innate humanity, and so both of them are declared demon slayers. Tanjiro then thanks everyone and claims to kill Muzan and cringes everyone out. The siblings are then taken to Shinobu's residence and are set to recover there. The Hashira then begin their meeting and discuss how this is the strongest bunch of Hashira that has been assembled since the very first one. The master congratulates them and then discusses how Rui's actions are simply a diversion so that Muzan can hide his own location. All of them vow to rid the world of demons, and the meeting ends as they reflect on how the demons have been causing excessive problems these days. Once everyone recovers, they all start training so that they can get a little stronger than they are. The girls at Shinobu's place help everyone train and use unique exercises to help them. When they cannot progress much, the girls tell Tanjiro about the technique called Total Concentration Breathing Constant, and so Tanjiro begins his own separate training to master that. One day, during his training, Shinobu arrives and appreciates his resolve. She then confides in him about her elder sister getting killed by a demon. This reminds Tanjiro of his own family and his reason for becoming a demon slayer. He strengthens his resolve to train even harder, while Shinobu smiles at how earnest he is. Zenitsu and Inosuke are surprised at how fast Tanjiro is progressing and decide to join him him in training. Shinobu also tells Kanao to join them. She then flips a coin to decide what she will do. She remembers her past as we find out that she's unable to speak much due to the psychological trauma from her abusive family. Shinobu and her elder sister took her in and treated her better than she had ever been treated. But in the end, they couldn't properly fix her problem, so she was given a coin to help her decide between two things when she was conflicted. Back to the present, as the coin toss doesn't result in a favorable decision, she opts out of joining the trio in their training and fun. After a while, Tanjiro finally succeeds in beating Kanao, showing his steady progress. Tanjiro later asks Shinobu about his Hinokami Kagura. She tells him that she doesn't know much, but he should refer to Rengoku Kyojuro, the Flame Hashira, for guidance. When alone with Nezuko, Tanjiro reaffirms his vow to heal her sister and gets some very cute encouragement from her. Now that Rui is dead, Muzan is furious with the lower moons and summons them to his Infinity Castle. He asks them all questions about what they would do if he stripped them of their power. As all of them give unsatisfactory answers, he kills them all except Enmu, who gives him just the answer that he wants. Enmu used to be lower 1, but now that he has been strengthened by Muzan's blood, he has strength similar to the upper rank demons. Muzan then orders him to kill Tanjiro and make it a top priority. Back on the hero's side, Tanjiro and the others have completed their training and are all set to join Rengoku on his mission to investigate the disappearances on one of the trains. Tanjiro bids everyone else farewell and then comes to Kanao. She decides to tell him about her whole coin flip thing after Tanjiro's constant persistence. But then, Tanjiro uses her same coin and flips it in his own favor to tell her that she should listen to her heart from now on instead of a pointless coin toss.
偶然だよ。それに裏が出ても表が出るまで何度でも投げ続けようと思ってたから。
Kanao sees the light in Tanjiro's eyes and is completely touched by everything he has said to her. He then says his goodbyes and the trio leaves the butterfly mansion. The boys then arrive at the train station and board the train just as it's about to leave. And so, their journey on the train with both Rengoku and Enmu on board will begin in the next season. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching and see you all next time. Peace!